Are HMOs profitable? Not according to someone who commented on my Instagram recently and said that they are shit. And I'm going to put the message here. What he said, he commented on a random reel on my Instagram and said this: what they are is shite. And he was referring to a reel that I put on Instagram about a HMO. What he also said was, I'm so fed up of seeing people promoting shit HMOs. I've never seen anyone make money on them. A model perpetrated on get-rich-quick schemes by randoms with blue ticks who definitely don't need them. Mr. Hater, thank you very much. Every time I have someone comment some shit, some hate, I enjoy it. Yeah? If you're not accumulating haters, you're not doing well enough, in my opinion. And that's just the way that I see it. But what I want to do in this video is show you how profitable HMOs are, because he said that they're not profitable at all. He said he's never seen anyone making money on them, which is far from the truth. HMOs are still very profitable, but I want to show you a profit and loss. And I'm just going to pick some random houses off our profit and loss sheet, which we do every single month, to show you how profitable they are. What I'm not going to do is show you the most profitable ones, and that's it. I'm going to show you ones that are not profitable in some months and what we do about it. Because sometimes we have high bills, sometimes we have high voids, sometimes we have high maintenance. But also the other side of it is sometimes we have low voids, 100% occupancy rate, low maintenance or no maintenance, low bills. This happens, yeah? You have to take the rough with the smooth with this. But also what I think is very important is to show you, because I'm totally transparent, some of our older stock. So our older stock is on very low interest rates, so you can see what we charge per room. Our new stock is on very high interest rates because of how the market has been reacting over the past few years. So how much we now have to charge per room to make it profitable. And there's a massive difference. So I want to go through this with you, show you the reality of HMOs, what a profit and loss looks like, and how we improve it and how we've improved it over the years. But ultimately, I don't want to change anyone's mind. The person who commented this is probably not going to see this video, but if you do, you tell me if HMOs are profitable or not, because I'm about to show you. Let's go. Yes. Right then, guys, let's just take a little look and see if HMOs are profitable. Right, and what I want to do is I want to give you a live example, but I want to give you the truth, the reality, the ups, the downs, the bad, the ugly, because profit and loss sheets can be up and down. When you're doing HMOs, you have months where you got high voids, you have months where you got high maintenance, you have months where you got high bills and you got to figure it out, and you have months where you probably are more profitable than you expected to be. There's ups and downs. So what you have to do is look at it over a 1 year period, always. But the question is, are HMOs profitable? And I just want to flat out say, yes, they are. And I want to show you, but I don't want to show you the good bits. I want to show you also the bad bits, what can go wrong, and how profitable they are and how they can become unprofitable. Because sometimes assets in your portfolio can become unprofitable. So then you have to rethink what you want to do with it. That could be hand it over to a social housing provider. That could be sell it. That could be do a refurb. Right, so let's just take a little look. Now, this example here is something that we get every single month from our staff. And we've got profit and loss sheets running back to 2021. And every single month we analyze it. So the tenants pay us on the 1st. We receive the profit and loss on the 15th. Right? So that gives us a 2-week period to chase missing rents or make sure rooms are full. So then when we review it on the 15th, we can see if we've got high maintenance, voids, high bills. Yeah, so this is what we receive. And this example here, what I've got in front of me is true figures. I've changed the names of the people in the rooms for ICO. I don't want to break any rules, but also I've changed the addresses. So this is what our previous profit and loss has looked like. There's a couple of properties that are missing. There's 11 HMOs on here, I think. I'm going to count in a minute. But I'm going to show you through one by one how many beds, what it was look like in terms of bills, in terms of management, in terms of maintenance, what we've paid. And I want to also show you the difference, because some of these HMOs we've had for 5 years. Now, what you're going to see is the ones from 5 years are more profitable. The reason that is because the interest rates used to be a lot lower. The rents have now gone up since then. However, it's still not relative to the interest rate that has gone up. We used to be on like a 4% interest rate. Most of our stock, or a lot of our stock, is on a 4% interest rate, and we locked in for 10 years. What a good feeling that is. I wish I would have locked everything else in for a little bit longer. But nowadays, you are getting higher GDVs, you are getting more rent. However, the proportion that your mortgage loan payment has gone up is not in proportion to what it used to be in terms of your profit is now looking a little bit less. So let's take this first one as an example. What we have here on the left is income. So for this month, this portfolio of 11 HMOs, I think it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yep, 11 HMOs. So total gross income is £42,000. So if we continue that over the rest of the year, the gross income for this portfolio is going to be around £500,000. And that's just for this one portfolio that we have. This is probably 30% of our whole portfolio. So the income for that month was 42k, but gross is ego. It doesn't matter about gross. What it brings in, it doesn't matter. What really matters is your net and your bottom line, right? So then what we have is expenses. So this month we brought in £32,000. In expenses, we paid out £27,000. And what we was left with was pre-tax profit at £14,500, right? So I'm going to take you now through each property one by one. So this first one, 5 Mathorn Street, it's a 6-bedroom HMO, right? What we have here on the left is the 6 tenants who are in there, how much they paid, what date they paid, and also the total gross income for that property. In the expenses column, this is where it gets a little bit spicier. So we've got the mortgage capital. Now we're paying £959 on this mortgage, which is really low. And you'll see in a minute like how low it actually is. We're paying double now. One, because the GDVs have gone up, but also interest rates have gone up as well. So we're paying £959. The council tax is £165. The insurance for that month was £35. The electric £176. Gas also £176. Water was £56. Internet was £36. Cleaning was £80, and then we've got the TV license, and then we've got the management at the bottom. So these are all costs which are associated with running a HMO. What most people will think is, how much will it bring in? How much will my mortgage be? What's the profit after that? No, you've got so many of these other costs. Like obviously your council tax, that's a constant moving target. What I mean by that is it's constantly going up, right? Insurance, people don't take this into consideration when looking at the numbers. They will take gas, electric, water and internet maybe, but cleaning, you know, we pay cleaners £40 every 2 weeks to clean these. They only clean the communal, but if you don't get your HMOs cleaned, they're going to end up scruffy. They're going to end up looking horrible. And then what you're going to have to do is a major refurb in the next few years. So although we're paying £80 per month per property for 2 cleans, we're going to be better off in the next 3 or 4 years when we've not got to do a whole refurb, and maybe we've just got to repaint it instead of getting new flooring, getting new woodwork because like you've had grubby hands on it and it's not been cleaned. So another cost here that people will have to take into consideration is the agent. So the agent and our agent, we actually bring it in-house now. So we're self-managing, but our external company which manages these houses are charging 8% to this company. So we're still taking a management fee, and that pays for the staff that we have. So that's a flat out 8%, but a lot of companies will charge 8% plus VAT, and also some companies will charge 10% plus VAT. So this is also more costs that you have to take into consideration. So what another cost that you have to take into consideration, which we haven't got on here because we don't charge ourselves for this, is tenant fine fees. This is the hidden killer of HMOs. I promise you, the tenant fine fees alone can kill a whole deal. What I mean by that is, when you first get a 6-bedroom HMO up and running, you've really got to find out the fees of the agent, because you've got to start figuring out your top line profit or your bottom line profit pre-tax. And it's a hidden cost, and it's a hidden cost that most people don't take into consideration. As soon as your HMO is done, it needs tenanting. You can have a find tenants yourself and save yourself some money, and it's actually really easy to find tenants. Or what you could do is pay an agent. Now, an agent is probably going to charge between £400 or £500. You heard that correct. £400 or £500 to tenant a HMO for one tenant, right? So let's say it's the top end, £500. You got 6 tenants. You got £3,000 they're charging you for that 1 month. Yeah, that's 2 months out of the 12 months of the year profit gone. Wiped out. So then you've only got 10 months worth of profit. But then what could happen is, in 6 months time, let's say they all leave, they're probably not going to, but if they did, that's another £3,000. That's another 2 months profit gone. So then you've got 8 months worth of profit over the year. That's without voids, that's without high bills, and that's without maintenance. So when people say they're not profitable, They are profitable, but they can also not be profitable if they're not being managed in the correct way. And I say this to everyone. I say when you've got 3 or 4 HMOs, you have to bring management in-house. Yeah, because each HMO you're probably going to be paying, let's say it's 10%, and you'll see on here we're paying quite a lot. Let's say £400. If you've got 4 HMOs, that's 1,600 that you're paying a month. You can pay a staff member to do that. And then you're in control of your own portfolio, because the minute an agent's got it, you are out of control of what's going on. Yeah, because you can't be the eyes and ears in that house. You can't be checking up on all of the maintenance. You can't be making sure they're giving the right certification. We've worked with many agents in Nottingham, and I promise you now, they're all not good. Yeah, I don't want to swear, but they're all shite. At least the ones that we've worked with anyway. They get things wrong. They get the wrong maintenance people out. They charge you for no reason. They get the wrong tenants in. They serve them the wrong documents. They don't fill rooms. You're left with a lot of voids. I'm not saying all agents are bad, but the majority are. And I'm sorry if you're an agent and you're listening to this. In fact, I've spoke to a lot of agents and they all agree. They all say to me, yeah, we're shit. Yeah, unless you're the director, of course, then you're not going to say that. But there is some good agents out there, and I know some good agents, very few and far between. So, the total outgoing, the total incoming for this property was 3,845. The total outgoing was £2,007. What we was left with was a pre-tax profit of £1,837 for that one HMO. This is one of the best performers because it was refinanced a long time ago when interest rates was quite low. So as you can see, people say HMOs aren't profitable. They are profitable if you're doing them in the right way. So what you're also going to see here is it says 48% and it says green. I'm going to scroll to this one, it says 46. This one says 36. This is 17 in the red. This one here is 28% in the red. Because the reason I've set that up is because we work on a profit margin of 30% of the gross. Meaning, what we bring in, which is this number here, in terms of rent per month, if our net profit after costs is not 30% of this, then there's something wrong. If it's lower than 30%, there's something we've got to figure out. So if it's between 20 and 30%, it could be high bills, it could be a little bit of maintenance, but it's something we've got to keep our eye on. Unless it's like orange every single month, then it's like, okay, we've got something wrong here. If it's red, there's a bit of a problem. It could be a void. It could be many reasons. But if you get multiple months of it underperforming and it being in the red, then you've got a big issue with that one property. And here's the thing, you can't buy property with emotions. If you buy a property and you hold a property and you scale and you buy loads of properties, if you've got some in there that are underperforming, you can't just hold on to it for the sake of saying I've got this many houses or just having it there. Like, this is why you need to be on top of your numbers, and if you're not, they're on top of you. Because the second you start going into the red, it becomes dangerous because you can potentially be forking out from your portfolio to have this HMO surviving. In other words, it's costing you to hold the property, and that's not what we want to do. So we work on a 30% net profit of the gross margin. That's what we work to. But what you're also going to see is we have that over the whole portfolio. So although there's some houses that we can see where it's like 30%, 20%, 10%. We've also got over the whole portfolio. What's the whole income? What's the whole expenses? Have we got 30% over the whole portfolio? Yes. That might mean some of them are overperforming. It might mean we're doing good, we're doing average, we're doing okay. But that could also mean if you're in the red and you're in the red consistently, there's some assets that you've just got to sell. Yeah, there's a hole at the bottom of the bucket, and I promise you, it will not fix itself. In fact, it will only get worse. The hole gets bigger, it starts corroding, you start letting out more water, and water is profit, right? So let's move on to this next one, 45 Ashburn Street. We've got 6 tenants in here. Our whole income for the month was 3,975. Mortgage was 979. Again, very low interest rates. Council tax, insurance, electric, gas, water, internet, cleaning, TV license, and then 8% to the agent, which is us. This made £1,845, which is 46%. That's a very, very fucking high profit margin. These are overperformers every single month because of such low interest rate. And I'll go into the high interest rate ones in a minute. But yeah, that performs well. However, what I will say is sometimes it does have voids. But I'm also looking at this and I'm thinking, where can we still improve? There's always ways you can improve. Are these tenants paying market rent? If not, can we up some of their rents potentially? I think they are market rent, in my opinion, for the condition of the house. But I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, right, I've got 2 6-beds here. One, we're paying 176 for gas and electric in the summer, which is quite high anyway. But then the other one, we're paying 210 and 217. Something's just not stacking up here. Why is that house paying more gas and electric? The heating's timed. Yeah, we can't control the electric, of course, because people turn stuff on and off, but we can control the heating because we have programs to do that, and we really do keep on top of that. So I'm looking at that thinking, although we made good profit, can we be better? Can we be more efficient? Can we trim more fat off the business? And yes, we definitely can. So what we've done here is we've got our staff members, they're going to be doing this next week, calling up the electric and gas meter suppliers and just asking them the question, why is it so high? Have you took accurate readings, or have you took estimated readings? Do we need to switch supplier at some point? Who knows? This is something we have to figure out. But again, if you're not running a profit and loss, you're not going to know this. And that's where the hole at the bottom of the bucket comes from. And the hole at the bottom of the bucket could be an expensive electric supplier or a gas supplier. Right, the next one, we've got an 8-bed. This one's interesting. So we have a void here. And again, I'm not just going to show you houses that are full. I'm going to show you houses that are also unprofitable. I'm going to show you some issues that come up in our portfolio. So we've got 8 people. Some of these are under market rent, I think. We've got a void there, right? But again, it's an 8-bed. And we've got such a low loan on it. So our loan to value is really creeping down to around 60%. We've got a really low interest rate on it. So we're only paying 1,300, which is ridiculous. We've got council tax at 253. We've got insurance, a little bit more expensive because it's an 8-bed. Higher gas and electric than this 6-bed here, which is understandable. We've got water, which is quite low to be fair. We've got cleaning at 200. It's a bigger house. We paid the cleaners a little bit more. TV license. This one we have a little bit of maintenance. So again, we're tracking the maintenance every single month, and we attach the maintenance issue to the property. Because if there's a hole at the bottom of the bucket, it could also be maintenance. It might not have been built too well. You may have tenants that are in there not looking after it. So every month we're tracking the maintenance. So this one, it was a door handle. We paid £98, door handle swap. That's absolutely fine. 8% to the agent. This made £1,591, which is 36% of the gross. And that one is, of course, very profitable. But if we had that room filled, let's say at 500, then it's making over £2,000. So, and that's usually what it does make, if I'm going to be honest with you. Like, we usually don't run at a low occupancy rate. We've always got tenants in these rooms. But as you can see, it's an 8-bed. So it should be making over £2,000. All 8 beds should, in my opinion. Area dependent. Right, another 6-bed. We've got 22 Queen Street. We've got another void here. Told you, I'm just being transparent. Low mortgage on this because we've got a low interest rate. Council tax, insurance, electric, gas. Again, these two are very high compared to the first one. They should not be this high in summer. So we've got a problem there. We've got a hole at the bottom of the bucket that our staff is working on. Water, internet, cleaning, license, a little bit more maintenance. I don't know what this one was. We need to add a note there, which is what the staff will do. Total outgoings. And then this one's in the red. We're at 17%, right? So as soon as I start looking at the profit and loss, I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, right, I've got to fill that bucket. I've got to fill that hole. I've got to fix it. So a couple of things I'm looking at. High bills here. Obviously, we've got a big maintenance issue. And also, we've got a void. Yeah, so at least I know. So then when I look at it next month, I'm like, okay, has that hole been fixed? So if it's not been fixed over like 3, 4 or 5 months and it's still in the red, I'm looking at it thinking, maybe I've got to sell. And then we've got another 7-bed here. So 49 Chingford Street. We've got 7 people in, so it's full. We've got a higher mortgage here, but it's still not too high. But this was refinanced through COVID times. We've got all of these bills. So 197 on a 7-bed is not too bad. We've got an agent fee. This one's running at 28%, so it's in the orange. And I'm looking at this, I'm thinking, it's only made 1,196. 7 beds should maybe make a little bit more. We've not had no maintenance. Mortgage is not too bad. What's the only other thing that we can improve? So I'm looking at it, I'm thinking, some of these rents are probably under market rent. However, it's only 2% below the net 30% target. So we'll probably if this runs at this for the next 6 months at 28%, I probably would just let it slide because it's not too bad, but it will stay on my radar. Then we've got another 6-bed. This is actually a lease. So these tenants aren't on there. It's a lease. So what we have on here, we get paid 3K. We've got a mortgage going out, 6-bed, which is quite high. We've got a bit of insurance to pay. We've got no agent fees because it's leased, it's guaranteed rent. And this one is working very nicely, 1,185 at 40% of the, is that actually 40%? Yeah, it must be. 40% of the net of the gross. So another one here, leased out, another 6-bed, 3K coming in, £2,000. Look at that. So this 6-bed, yeah, on a high interest rate is £2,000 a month. This one over here is 959. Yeah, that's insane. This is something you guys have to be very aware of. Interest rates are very high. You have to ride it through. So when we refinance this in the next couple of years, because it's probably going to come up for refinance, interest rates are going to be lower. We're probably going to knock £500, £600, £700 off that. So we're just going to become a little bit more profitable. This one is running at 30% of the gross. We're quite happy with 932 a month. The reason I say that is because we've got no high bills. We don't pay them. We've got no voids. That's on the leaseholder. We've got no maintenance, because that's also on the leaseholder. So we're happy to take £932 a month. Same with 75 Vale Smith Avenue, 3,300 we get for that one. We've got 2k, again, very high 6-bed interest rate. We've got £52 insurance, and then we're at 37% on that one at 1,214. This one here, 6-bed, 36 Ashbourne, 39 Ashbourne, sorry. Very high, look at this. What you find going all the way through this is, these are the newer properties. The mortgage capital is going higher and higher and higher because the interest rates are high. And at the time we refinanced them, there was like, some of them was like 7.14, 6.89 maybe, which is just absolutely insane. We've got council tax, insurance, electric and gas is where they need to be. That's good. We don't charge no agent fees on that one, just because we're charging ourselves. It's through our company. We don't charge the whole thing, only enough to cover the staff. This one's running at 32%, 1,317. Another 6-bed, this one made 1,700, 34%, that's good. 26 Wolford Lane, this one is running 27%, 1,184. But these are the net that we're getting from 6-bed, 7 and 8-bed HMOs, right? So what you're going to see over here is this month we made 14,510, which is 34% of the incoming, which is 42,301. So in short, yeah, I don't want to change anyone's mind. In fact, I don't need to change anyone's mind, because here's the thing, I don't give a shit, but I just want people to know the truth. When people say HMOs are not profitable, they're not profitable for who? People have been doing these for the past 20 years. If they was not profitable, no one would be doing them. So when you see people saying shit, you got to see for yourself. You got to talk to the people who are doing it, people who are in the trenches. But also just bear in mind, there's people doing this wrong and there's people doing this well. Yeah, there's not many people doing this well. I promise you that. I know it. I see it all the time, because not many people are on the top of the numbers and they're just getting by. Oh, I made this much this month, maybe 8k, maybe 9k I made this month. There's no maybe about it. You need to know to the penny exactly how much you made. If you're not on top of your numbers are on top of you. You're not a proper business. You got to throw the towel in. Yeah, because business is numbers. It's as simple as that. And I know we're doing a good thing, housing all of these tenants, but the top line is it's got to be profitable. Yeah. So in short, they are profitable. Some of them cannot be profitable. The ones that aren't, you sell. The ones that are, you keep. Yeah, until they're no longer profitable. So I hope that's been helpful. If there's any questions, guys, put them in the comments. Give me a thumbs up. Give me a subscribe. But also, comment on the video what your topic you want me to discuss next. I've got a couple of things that I want to discuss and give you a little bit of value. But if there's anything specifically that you want me to discuss, maybe raising finance, maybe we're dealing with builders, that's fine. Drop me a message in the comments. I'll go from there. Let's go, guys.